On July 4th, 1776, my ancestor wasn't in Philadelphia, and he wasn't marching and fighting either. He was a 39-year-old man farming a piece of ground in Pennsylvania, and all I had was a few lines on a tax record. By the end of this video, I'll show you how those few lines became an entire chronicle about his life. And the same thing could happen to you with the records that are sitting around on your family right now. I'll read you what AI built from those few tax lines, but not quite yet. I'm Denise Allen. I run Chronicle Makers, where people use AI to find and finish their family stories. America turns 250 this year, and every single person with a Revolutionary Era ancestor is asking the same question. What was their life like back then? What were they doing? And most people can't answer it because their ancestor didn't fight in a famous battle, didn't sign anything great, and didn't leave a diary or letters. Most of our 1776 ancestors were farmers, wives, tradesmen, servants, kids, and the records of their lives exist, but it doesn't get into a chronicle. At least not yet. So think of your oldest American line right now. Hold the family in your head, and I want you to watch what I did with mine because you can do this with yours too. Now, the starting point I have for Stephen is this tax record from Colebrookdale Township. It's a very rudimentary document, and if you scroll down on it, you can see him right here with 141 acres, 5 horses, 5 cows, the total value of all of that, and what he was taxed. That's it. This single line in this record is the beginning of the chronicle that I'm going to write. And what I'm going to do is use this as the basis for a prompt with ChatGPT. Let me show it to you. Here is our ChatGPT prompt, and I am actually not going to read it all out to you. There is a link in the description below so you can grab the entire thing and try it out for yourself. I will cover the structure of this just quickly, that there is a requirement here for the AI to act as a research assistant. Now, I know a lot of people say that you shouldn't tell it how to act, it knows how to act, but what I find these days is that it wants to act the way I normally use the tool and not in a new role for me unless I tell it to do that. So that is why it says in here, act as a research assistant. A lot of times I'm using these tools to assemble some writing or to proofread, and it automatically goes into writing mode for me. And I don't want it to do that in this circumstance. I wanted to research. I wanted to look for facts, cite facts, and distinguish between things that are contemporary to the 1770s and things that come later that historians have interpreted. It's going to output everything that it finds on the internet organized into this section. So there are 10 things here that I wanted to report on, and it's going to cite each and everything. If anything's missing, it's going to tell me, and then it's going to make a suggestion of where I can find it. I have this starting out asking me for the specific place and county because I'm sharing it with you, and you're going to need to provide that to the tool so it can do the research. Here is all the research that it gave me. Again, I'm not going to read it all to you, but what you'll notice here is everything is cited here. So if you click these are internet links, and then you can go to the webpage where the AI grabbed that information from, so you can determine and actually measure how accurate is it? How truthful is it? Is this something that I want to use? That's always a judgment call on your part as a genealogy researcher. One of the most interesting things in this is the church and religious life here. I find that particularly interesting because I like to do research through church records. I do have Stephen's church records, but you might not have the one on your ancestor and want to know what churches are in the area, so this will help. A few lines on a tax list and about 30 minutes, and now I know my ancestor wasn't on the sidelines of the revolution like I thought. The war came right to his fields, in a county that helped feed the troops. Now, this isn't about being dramatic, this is about reality. Now, watch me take it another couple steps further. Now, while all that historical background was great and it got me grounded in the time, I had a lot of questions. And the first thing I asked was, what was the weather like in the summer of 1776? Now, this is a little bit of a cheating question because I knew that this weather was recorded because of what was going on in Philadelphia at the time. And Colebrookdale Township is about 45 to 50 miles northwest of Philadelphia. It's not the exact same weather, but it's going to be similar between that and Philadelphia. So AI gives me all that information here, and again, with all the links that I can follow up for exact citations I can use. It tells me it's making an inference, it's making a guess, and that is great. Next, I'm asking it about the militia laws at the time in Pennsylvania and what would a farm be required to supply to the war effort. And again, AI went into the details here for me. It actually cited my own website right here. Interesting. But then it also gets into actual state government websites, as well as some things from other reputable websites. So farms basically weren't required to give anything, but the counties did organize supplies for the troops because they were expected to, and there's a list of the kinds of things that they would have supplied. Lots of great information here that provides a lot of great details for Chronicle writing. Now, my last thing that I wanted to ask from AI was about the German communities and the religious faiths that they had across the entire county. So I got the information for Colebrookdale Township, but I wanted to know what was the bigger situation like. And I got all the religious groups here. The fact that there were Lutherans, German Reformed, Mennonites, Moravians, the Dunkers, which were pacifists, as well as the Mennonites were at the time too, the Amish, also pacifists and weren't participating in the war. And then here are the similarities across those groups. It does tell me specifically that in Colebrookdale, there were Lutheran and German Reformed churches. So that is very helpful to know because, again, it tells me where to look for that information. So that is how to do the historical context for all the writing that you want to be doing. So one tax record threaded through this German community, the religious divisions, the changes in the militia law, what being in the militia actually meant, and the path that made Stephen a captain, all were in the historical record. And I never saw any of that because I was looking at a date on a record on a website and not a man in a place in a moment. And that is how it becomes a chronicle. Now, here is why this matters for you specifically. What I just did was about one record and 30 minutes working with AI. Not a research trip, not a history degree, not a super famous ancestor, a farmer, and a tax line. That's it. And then a willingness to ask AI the right questions about a real place and a real moment. Your 1776 ancestor left something. Maybe a tax list like mine, a church record, a militia roll, an occupation listed somewhere, and it's sitting in a database right now and looking like a few boring lines. And those few lines are the chronicle that you just haven't written yet. The summer of 1776 arrived in Colebrookdale Township hot and humid. Stephen Crumrine was 39 that year, farming the same ground his neighbors farmed in a valley where nearly everyone spoke German. When the sheriff read the Declaration of Independence on July 8th from the courthouse steps, he read it in both English and German. It's not recorded if Stephen was there that day, but he soon led his local militia unit as captain. The Crumrine family continued to work the fields after Stephen's appointment. The army that was forming would need what those fields grew. Every detail of that chronicle I just read is real. The German-speaking valley, the documentation of Berks County, reading out the Declaration on July 8th, in German and in English, and that is how news actually traveled then. The fact that the farms were feeding the war effort, all documented. AI invented nothing here. All it did was place my ancestor inside the moment of 1776. Not a battle scene, a life scene. And that is what is missing for your family too. And here's the thing. You don't even need a Revolutionary War soldier to tell these stories. You don't need a famous name. All you need is one real record about a person who was alive in 1776 and the right questions to ask AI to help you thread it into a moment that your family actually lived. The history channels are busy telling you what happened in 1776, and only you can find out what happened to your family in 1776. That's the thing that no one else is going to make this year. This 250th only happens once, and I want to help you use it to tell this history of your family. I put together the exact prompt that I used to do this, and package it all up for you, and look in the link in the description for it. It's this month's free download just for you. So go ahead and grab it. Try it on your oldest American ancestor and tell me in the comments then what you found, even if it's just a fragment. I want to hear about it. Your family was alive for that very first 4th of July, and this is the year, 250 years later, that you write the Chronicle about it.